He's the heir to a powerful dynasty and he's fallen for a commoner. One forbidden touch could ruin them both. Secrets, scandal and danger lurk around every corner, and the price of their love might be exile, or worse. Hit subscribe, like, and comment to follow their forbidden story and see if love can survive the consequences. The sun dipped behind the high walls of the Veyron estate, casting long shadows across the manicured gardens. Golden light danced on the marble fountain, but even the beauty of the moment couldn't pierce the suffocating weight that seemed to hang over Kael Veyron. He leaned against the balustrade of the terrace, staring out over the city below. His life had been carefully curated, every word measured, every movement calculated. At 23 he was heir to one of the most powerful dynasties in the country. His future was already written, a perfect facade of responsibility, control, and dignity. Yet tonight, for reasons he didn't fully understand, he felt an ache in his chest, a longing for something real, something unrestrained. The sound of hurried footsteps broke his reverie. Kael turned sharply, expecting a servant, but instead saw a young man in plain clothing, carrying a delivery tray. The stranger stumbled slightly as if caught off guard, and Kael caught a flash of dark eyes that were wide, honest, and startlingly alive. "Excuse me," the young man said, bowing slightly. I have a delivery for Master Kael." Kael's brow arched. Deliveries came through the servants. He had no memory of ordering anything today. Yet there was something magnetic about this commoner, something that made his carefully trained composure falter. "I am Kael Veyron," he said, voice steady but tinged with curiosity. "And who are you?" The young man swallowed. "Eren, sir. Eren Sadiq. I bring the provisions your household requested." Kael's eyes lingered on him longer than etiquette allowed. Eren's hands were steady despite the obvious nervousness in his posture. His hair was dark and unruly, curling just slightly at the ends, framing a face that was strikingly sharp and yet approachable, lips that seemed made for smiling, eyes that could read too deeply into a person. Something about him felt unpolished, unclaimed by the rigid expectations Kael had lived under his entire life. "Come," Kael said abruptly, gesturing to the terrace. "Leave the tray there." He wanted to observe him, understand him, break the monotony of the gilded cage he had always called home. Eren hesitated but obeyed, placing the tray down with care. His hands brushed Kael's ever so slightly as he stepped back, and Kael felt a jolt of something dangerous, desire perhaps, or the shock of encountering someone completely unfiltered. "You're not like the others," Kael said after a moment, his voice almost a whisper. Eren blinked, caught off guard. I don't know what you mean, sir." Kael's lips twitched. "You're honest? No fawning, no calculated respect, no pretending to admire me for what I am. You just are." Eren looked down, cheeks tinged pink. "I don't think about titles or wealth, sir. I just—" He paused, searching for words. "Try to do my job well." Kael felt a pang in his chest he hadn't felt before. Here was a man untouched by the poison of privilege, unshackled by duty, free in a way Kael could only dream of. And yet he knew he could never indulge this feeling. The Veyron family had rules. The city had rules. Love like this, between heir and commoner, was a dangerous, forbidden thing. But as the minutes stretched, Kael's heart betrayed him. He found himself asking, almost impulsively, "Will you stay a moment?" He stopped, unsure of what he wanted. "I can wait," Eren said softly, a tentative smile forming. "But I wouldn't want to overstep, Master Kael." "No," Kael said firmly. "Stay." And Eren stayed. They talked quietly, carefully at first, about mundane things, the state of the city, the weather, the strange complaints of the household staff. But gradually the conversation deepened. Eren spoke with a clarity and honesty Kael hadn't encountered in years. He listened with intensity, laughing lightly at some of Eren's small frustrations, marveling at the simple wisdom the young man carried like an unpolished gem. Kael knew he was treading dangerous ground. Every glance, every word, every heartbeat that lingered too long threatened to unravel the carefully constructed world he had been born into. Yet he couldn't stop himself. When the sun finally set, casting the estate in a dusky lavender glow, Kael realized he had not once thought about his responsibilities, his family's expectations, or the eyes that would surely judge him. For the first time, he allowed himself to imagine a life untethered from the weight of his name, a life with Eren, simple and unguarded. Eren, sensing the shift, looked at Kael with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "You seem different when you speak to me, sir," he said. Kael's lips curved into a small, dangerous smile. "Perhaps," he murmured. Perhaps some truths are only safe in certain company. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken tension. They both knew the implications of their proximity, the dangerous allure of the forbidden. Kael's family could ruin him if they knew. Eren's world could collapse if whispers of this meeting spread. Yet, in that fleeting twilight, none of it seemed to matter. As Eren finally stepped back to leave, Kael found himself saying, almost involuntarily, "Come again tomorrow." Eren froze, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. I can, sir." Kael nodded, unable to trust his voice with more. As the commoner disappeared from view, Kael felt a strange combination of dread and exhilaration. He was playing with fire and he knew it. Yet the thought of seeing Eren again, the possibility, the risk, the thrill, was a fire he could not extinguish. That night, in the solitude of his chamber, Kael stared at the ceiling, mind racing. Every rule he had ever lived by whispered for him to turn away. Every instinct screamed to flee from the danger of attachment. And yet, he found himself thinking of Eren. His laugh, the tilt of his head, the honesty in his gaze. For the first time in his life, Kael understood that desire had a price. And perhaps he thought some prices were worth paying, even if the cost was exile, disgrace, or death. The morning air carried the scent of the city's markets, mingled with the faint perfume of the estate's gardens. Kael had barely slept. He replayed every word, every glance from Eren's visit the previous evening, and a dangerous thrill ran through him. He paced the terrace, debating the wisdom of seeing Eren again. Every instinct told him to obey his family's rules, to maintain the facade of the perfect heir. And yet, the thought of Eren, unpolished, honest, alive, was a lure Kael couldn't resist. By noon, Eren arrived at the estate, this time under the guise of another routine delivery. Kael met him at the door, heart hammering despite the calm he tried to exude. "You came again," Kael said, voice steady though his pulse betrayed him. I promised," Eren replied, a faint blush coloring his cheeks. "But I didn't want to overstep." Kael gestured for him to follow. "No, stay. I want to see you." 4 hours, they found pockets of time in hidden corners of the estate, abandoned corridors, quiet library alcoves, and the rose garden at the far edge of the grounds. Each encounter was a dance of secrecy. Their hands brushed as they passed books, their shoulders bumped in crowded hallways, and every accidental touch left them both flushed and trembling. Kael watched Eren with fascination. His dark hair fell into his eyes, and he had a way of smiling that made Kael forget the suffocating rules of his world. Eren spoke freely about his life, his family, and his dreams, unaware, or perhaps unconcerned, about the chasm between their worlds. "You talk as if the world owes you nothing," Kael said one afternoon, leaning against the wrought iron railing of the garden bridge. "I envy that." Eren glanced up, meeting Kael's gaze with an honesty that made Kael's chest tighten. "I don't know if it's envy, sir. I just live as I can. I don't have the luxury of worrying about what others think." Kael's hand brushed against Eren's, lightly, almost accidentally. The shock of contact sent a shiver through both of them. Eren looked startled but didn't pull away. Kael's heart thrummed loudly in his chest. He wanted more. He wanted to break every rule and touch him again, hold him, feel him close. But restraint had always been a part of Kael's life, and even now the weight of consequence pressed down. The estate could never know. His family could never approve. And yet, in these stolen moments, every risk seemed worth taking. The days passed in a blur of secret meetings. They shared quiet conversations under moonlit skies and laughter in hidden corners where no one could see them. Every touch, every stolen glance, was charged with a tension that neither dared to fully name. One evening, Kael found Eren sitting on the terrace steps, sketching the estate in charcoal. His concentration made him appear serene, almost ethereal. Kael crouched beside him, careful not to startle him. "You have a gift," Kael murmured. "You see things that others miss." Eren looked up, cheeks flushed, and smiled shyly. I just draw what I notice. It helps me remember things." Kael's hand hovered near Eren's shoulder, unsure whether to rest it there. When he did, a spark shot through him. Eren didn't pull back. Instead, he leaned just slightly into the touch, as if seeking reassurance from Kael's presence. The moment stretched, heavy with unspoken words. Kael swallowed, fighting the urge to close the small distance between them, to let desire outweigh caution. He had never wanted anyone like this. And yet, the forbidden nature of their connection only deepened the intensity. "You're reckless," Kael whispered, voice low and hoarse. Eren's lips curved into a teasing smile. "I could say the same about you, sir. Choosing to risk everything just to see me." Kael's chest tightened. "I Don't care, he admitted. The words were dangerous, reckless, but they were true. He would risk his family's wrath, the scorn of society, even exile, just to be near Eren. Eren's eyes softened, shimmering with something Kael couldn't quite name: trust, fear, longing. Then we'll risk it together, he said quietly. Their first kiss was tentative, almost shy, pressed into the corner of the rose garden where no one could see them. It was fleeting, electric, and yet spoke volumes: desire, longing, and a promise unspoken yet understood. They parted quickly, faces flushed, hearts racing, aware that the world outside the garden walls would never forgive what they had done. For Kael it was both terrifying and exhilarating. He had never felt such freedom in his life, yet he also knew the danger they were courting. Every stolen moment could lead to ruin. But he couldn't stop. He didn't want to stop. Eren too felt the pull of something far greater than fear or caution. He was aware of the world that would judge him, that might destroy him for loving someone like Kael. But in that instant, pressed against the fragrant roses, those dangers seemed distant, irrelevant. There was only this: the heat of their hands, the soft brush of lips, the stolen intimacy that neither could resist. As the sky darkened and the first stars appeared, Kael knew that the line between restraint and recklessness was thinner than ever. Every encounter deepened the bond they shared, and yet, with each heartbeat, he felt the price of their love inch closer: exile, disgrace, or worse. And still he wanted Eren. More than he had ever wanted anything in his life. In the quiet of the night as they parted again, Kael whispered, "Tomorrow, we'll meet again." Eren's smile was faint but unwavering. "I'll be here." And beneath the shadows of the estate walls, two hearts beat together in dangerous synchrony, bound by desire, and the unspoken knowledge that their love, though forbidden, was worth every risk. The first rumors arrived like poison in the wind. Whispers among the household staff, fleeting glances in the city streets, and subtle hints in letters meant for Kael's eyes only, yet somehow Eren's name appeared. Kael had sensed it before he heard the words. The wary looks of the servants, the hushed tones behind closed doors, the way the city seemed suddenly colder, sharper, as if it could pierce into his heart and expose the secret he had tried to protect. One evening, Kael returned to the estate to find his father waiting in the study. Lord Veyron's expression was ice, a mask perfected over decades of power and control. The kind of gaze that could strip a man bare without a word. "Kael," his father said, voice low and dangerous, "I hear troubling reports. Do you have anything to say?" Kael's stomach tightened. "Reports?" he asked cautiously. Lord Veyron's eyes were sharp, piercing. "Do not play coy with me. Eren Sadiq, a commoner. I hear you spend far too much time in his company. Am I to understand that you've brought disgrace upon this family willingly?" Kael's throat tightened. He had feared this moment, yet nothing could have fully prepared him for the sheer weight of it. "Father, it's not what you think." "Don't lie to me," his father interrupted, slamming a hand on the desk. "I will not have my heir embroiled in scandal. Do you understand the consequences of such folly? Exile, disgrace, public ruin. Do you think I would hesitate?" Kael's chest burned. Every rule he had lived by, every instinct honed for survival in his gilded cage, screamed at him to step back, to deny, to obey. But the thought of abandoning Eren, of casting away the only person who made him feel truly alive, was unbearable. "I understand," Kael said quietly, voice trembling with something between defiance and desperation. "And yet, I cannot stop caring for him." Lord Veyron's expression darkened. "Then you leave me no choice. You will end this, whatever it is, immediately. Or the price will be yours to pay." The words hung in the air like a guillotine. Kael left the study with a heaviness he had never known. Every step toward Eren's quarters felt like walking a tightrope over a chasm that threatened to swallow them both. Eren was there when Kael arrived, as if sensing his turmoil. His eyes were wide, searching, as though he could feel the storm brewing behind Kael's calm facade. "They know," Kael whispered, barely audible. Eren's hand trembled as he reached for Kael's. I don't care," he said, though the tremor in his voice betrayed him. "We'll face it together." Kael shook his head, pain etched across his face. "It's not that simple. My father, my family, they will do whatever it takes to separate us. Exile, scandal, even death." Eren's eyes widened. "Death?" he repeated, disbelief and fear mingling in his tone. Kael nodded. "The Veyron name carries weight. There are those who will do anything to protect it. And a commoner like you, standing next to me, makes me vulnerable in ways I've never been before." Eren swallowed hard, but he didn't pull away. "Then we fight," he said softly. If loving each other is wrong, then we'll make it right, together. Kael felt a rush of emotion he couldn't name, fear, longing, and something fierce and consuming. He cupped Eren's face in his hands, thumb brushing over his cheek. I've never felt this way about anyone, he admitted, voice breaking. And now, I can't imagine life without you. Eren leaned into the touch, their foreheads pressing together. Then we won't, he whispered. The days that followed were a delicate, dangerous dance. Every meeting was stolen, every touch charged with desperation. The estate felt like a cage, the walls closing in with every rumor that crept closer. Kael's family watched him with suspicion, ready to pounce on any misstep. One evening, Kael led Eren to the edge of the estate's gardens, where the river reflected the silver of the moon. The night was still, the air heavy with tension and the scent of roses. If we're caught, Kael began, voice low, I could lose everything. And you could be ruined. Eren shook his head. I don't care. I'd rather face the world with you than live a lifetime without you. Kael's heart clenched. He had imagined this moment, feared it, and yet never felt more alive. He drew Eren close, pressing a desperate kiss to his lips. It was an affirmation, a promise, and a rebellion all at once. And in that kiss, Kael knew the truth. Love had a price. A high, dangerous price. But some things, some people, were worth paying for even if the world threatened to tear them apart. They pulled away reluctantly, hearts racing, minds swirling with the enormity of what they were risking. Kael's hand lingered on Eren's shoulder. We'll find a way, he whispered. No matter what. Eren's gaze was unwavering, full of trust and determination. We have to. There's no turning back now. And in the shadows of the garden, two hearts beat together against the odds, bound by love and the knowledge that the world outside would not forgive them. Every stolen moment became precious, every glance a spark. And with every heartbeat, Kael and Eren understood the harsh reality. The price of loving each other was real, imminent, and terrifying. Yet they would pay it. Together. The storm had come suddenly, dark clouds rolling over the Veyron estate, mirroring the turmoil in Kael's heart. Word had reached his father that Kael's secret meetings with Eren were no longer rumors. They were witnessed by a distant cousin, someone loyal to the family and eager to report every indiscretion. Kael paced the terrace, rain soaking his dark hair, mind racing. Every step toward Eren's quarters felt heavier than the last, weighed down by dread and desire. He knew what awaited him. His father's wrath, the scorn of the city, the looming threat of exile or worse. Yet the thought of facing it alone was unbearable. Eren was already waiting as if he had known. His dark eyes were wide, glistening with the reflections of lightning flashing across the sky. Kael, he whispered, stepping forward. They know. What do we do? Kael swallowed hard. I don't know, but I know I can't let them take you from me. His hand found Eren's, fingers entwining instinctively, desperately. The front doors of the estate burst open. Lord Veyron entered, flanked by two stern-looking guards. His gaze was cold, merciless. Kael, he said, voice like steel, I warned you. Now you will choose, end this folly or face the consequences. Kael's heart hammered. Every instinct told him to obey, to bow, to maintain the Veyron legacy. But when he looked at Eren, so vulnerable, so alive, he felt a surge of courage he didn't know he possessed. I won't end it, Kael said, voice shaking but firm. I won't let you dictate my heart. Lord Veyron's face darkened further. Then you leave me no choice. Guards, seize him. Before the men could move, Eren stepped forward, standing between Kael and the threat. No, he said, voice steady despite the tremor Kael felt in his chest. If you touch him, you touch me too. I'm not afraid. Kael's chest ached at the courage in Eren's eyes. Run with me, he urged, grabbing Eren's hand. We can leave tonight, disappear from this life and be free. Eren hesitated, glancing at the storm-lashed estate, the guards, the furious glare of Kael's father. It's dangerous, he said. But, his fingers tightened around Kael's. I'd rather face danger with you than live a lifetime without you. The thunder outside seemed to answer them, a violent drum echoing their shared resolve. Kael nodded, determination flashing in his silver eyes. Then we go. Together. They bolted through hidden passages Kael had memorized, slipping past startled servants and the guards who had underestimated their knowledge of the estate. Rain lashed at them as they reached the river at the edge of the property, lightning illuminating the turbulent water. Kael looked at Eren, drenched and shivering, yet alive and defiant. Are you ready? He asked. Eren nodded. I've never been more ready. They disappeared into the night, leaving behind the gilded cage of wealth, the suffocating expectations and the wrath of Kael's family. For the first time they were unshackled, bound only by their love and the perilous uncertainty of freedom. The storm raged around them, yet neither flinched. They were drenched, exhausted but exhilarated. In each other's arms they found warmth against the cold world, a promise that no matter what came next, they would face it together. As dawn broke over the river, painting the sky with streaks of gold and violet, Kael whispered, "We survived the night. And we'll survive whatever comes next." Eren smiled, leaning into him. "Because we have each other. That's all that matters." For the first time, Kael felt the weight of his name and legacy lift, replaced by something infinitely more precious. A love worth every risk, every danger, and every cost. And though the world behind them would not forgive, they had chosen each other. In the storm, in the shadows, and in the uncertain road ahead, Kael and Eren discovered a truth far greater than any dynasty or title. That love, even forbidden, was a power no one could take away. The price of loving each other had been high: fear, exile, the threat of death, but the reward was immeasurable. They had each other, and that was enough. Hand in hand, they walked into the dawn, hearts entwined, ready to face whatever the world would dare to throw at them.